King, what the fuck?
Yo, episode 3 of Power Book 2 Go Season 3. Man, that shit is already looking to be quite interesting. It's looking to be quite interesting because now that we got, more of an expansion of what Tariq, Brayden, Effie, and Kane and what they all doing, where like, I like it because it's like, yeah, basically, like, Tariq and Braden, like, they're controlling, like, Wall Street, while Dru and Kane, they controlling the streets, and they getting to work with their cousins, and basically they took out their Russian connect in Brooklyn. I'm like, oh, okay, so they're setting up something, which I guess, when we see it in the trailer, when it was like, when Tariq was like, we started a war, I'm guessing it's going to be with the Russians, from what it looks like to be. Like, I guess it's going to be with the Russians, so it's going to be like a all-out war when that happens, because in the trailer, too, it seems like they was at, like, a funeral, so I guess it was probably maybe either Zeke's funeral or whatever, and then I guess that's when, like, the shootout happens. I don't know. Like, it looks like it, right? So, I mean, this episode was funny because I like how Kane just pulled up at the college and he's just like, like, who's this Hotep nigga? He was like, Salim and shit. Like, Salim just there. So that's the thing. Like, he's just there. And Diana, like, really is looking at Tariq, and she hasn't gotten over, like, the whole Tariq is with Effie. Because when Effie was, like, expanding, like, because she's doing her own thing. Like, she's working with, like, Tariq and everybody else to stay alive, but Effie has, like, her own little thing that she's trying to start up. Like, I guess you could say, like, course correct too, right? And then Effie and her, like, they talk on the stairs, and it was like, well, you told me not to be around Tariq, but then yet you are with him. But she's saying that, well, me and Tariq is different, which is true, because, like, Courtney Kip did say, like, Effie is basically, like, the same as Tariq. Like, she's just there. She's just there with Tariq. So, it kind of, like, makes things. I would like it just basically puts her, Diana, it just puts her out of whack because she's not part of anything. She's just there. But now that when Lorenzo came with the bag, it's just like, hey, Kane is, he's trying to be like Mecca now, so you got to help me out here. And this entire episode, we've seen Kane channeling that Mecca because he held the gun on Braden where he was like, listen, man, like, you still owe me a body, you haven't done this and that. And it's quite good to see that Braden is not a Tommy. It's really good. It's really good. Like, he's not a Tommy, like, gun hold, because he's really, like, he's about selling the drugs, but he's not about, like, ready to pull a gun, because he was scared when he had a task to kill that the connect. He had a task, but then Tariq was just like, no, he can't do it, so I'm gonna come along and do this for him. And when they was at Mecca's penthouse, and that's when they was all talking about, like, how they was gonna take certain positions of taking Wall Street and then taking the streets, and that's when Dru was just like, well, you can't ask any one of us to do it. It has to be you. But I am wondering, like, if Braden is gonna, maybe this season, or if he would ever pull the trigger. That's the thing I'm kind of curious about. Like, will he ever do it? Because he can't. It seems like he can't. Like, everybody else did it except for him. So, it's kind of like how everybody's at the table. It's like, you know what? No. The perfect analogy to this is when that Fresh Prince episode when everybody was playing pool, right? And that's when they was, like, talking about, like, their experiences of how, they had this girl and that girl, and then that's when it was Will's friend that looked at Carter. He said, well, I see we got a virgin in here. It's like that, like, it's basically like everybody lost their virginity to murder except for Braden. He's just like, well, I can't do it, yeah, did it, but I just can't. Like, that's what it really is. But I like the fact that you got, like, Lorenzo, like, he's just there, like, like, the way Kane basically had this man, he bitch made his man. He just was like, well, I taking over. And Dru's like, nah, man, something going on here. Like, what's up with y'all? Because he's telling him, like, when they was making the whole deal with the cousins, and he was just like, no, we're going to leave everything up to Kane. But I think it's going to get to Lorenzo to the point where he's going to be like, all right, fuck this. I'm not having this man bully me. Because you seen, in the beginning part when they was doing the whole trade, and that's when those guys jumped him, and he was just like, yeah, I'm letting you off easy. That's something what a Mecca would do. So yeah, like Kane is channeling his inner Mecca. Like he's channeling that because the things that Mecca was teaching him, he's channeling that. And Lorenzo's like, man, I'm not having this. So eventually he will tell Monet like I was the one to have done it. I think he will, because he can't sit there and take this abuse, because his eyes was on Dru, because when Dru came up with the idea of killing the Connect, because Kane's way was like, oh, we're gonna kill their cousins, we just gonna blatantly murder everybody. But then Dru was like, no, we're gonna do this like the right way. We're gonna take out the Connect and then just have the family, you know, the cousins, and you know, work for us. And then that's when Lorenzo was looking at the table, and he was like, because he know, like, Dru has it. Dru has it. It's just Kane is more of a brute. Like, he's brute force and shit. So, it's like, yo, it was funny, too. It was funny. But, you know, you got Whitman being a damn tyrant, because he's like, oh man, Monet, I'm still after you for what you did, you know, I want you for Carrie. And then he's trying to tell Jenny and Blanca, he's just like, what is this fixation that you have for this Tariq kid? Like, why don't you just let it go? But the thing is, it's like Blanca has been there throughout the entirety of the St. Patrick's. She's been there. So it's like, obviously she couldn't get Ghost, so she's like, well, I have to get Tariq, because Tariq is there again, because she has proof that, you know, he was at Mecca's penthouse when Mecca died, but she can't like pin anything because the surveillance cameras and everything was white. But the only picture that she got was that Tariq was there. And then Jenny, I'm telling you, man, you know, Jenny ain't right, because the way she getting on Whitman and saying, oh, Whitman is using them, but she's technically using people, because she's not saying anything that Lauren is basically alive. Because when they brought it up, like, well, why don't we look more into like the whole Lauren thing? But she's like, no, and just switched it over and said, no, I have my so-called CI, right, and we're gonna do things. But which we see later when Sax takes like the picture, because they trying to put everything together, that Monet's basically the queen pin. But it's funny, because I'm again like, Monet's not doing anything. Monet is chilling. She's not doing anything. But they trying to pin the blame and say that Monet is the queen pin and Tariq is working with her. But it's not the case, because when Sax took the picture of them saying like, oh well, you know, they was all together. But then now, when Sax went to go visit Theo and was actually talking to him like, oh, about this charge and this and that, and then that's when when Davis and Sax was talking, and he was like, yeah, I would do this and that. But now it's like Sax, he's stuck, because yeah, he still want to go after like Tariq, Monet, the Tejadas. He want to go after everybody, but he was basically tasked with this mission to get Theo out of prison. So he's stuck. It's like, what would you do? You still want to do the one thing to make it up, but then Jenny's lying to him because she's not saying anything. But then he has a goal from Sax. Then he has a mission from Davis to get his brother out. So he's stuck. But like I said, you can't really trust Sax, because Sax he's a snake. You can't trust him. But it's just like, damn, man. But nah, in the beginning, like, Obi was like, yo, listen. Y'all need to see 1 million by next week, or otherwise family members is going to be dying. I'm like, okay, increasing the stakes. So it's like, you know, you have to work a little faster, because he said, yeah, y'all took out Mecca, so why the product isn't being moved fast enough? Because like I said before, Mecca was like a well-oiled machine. He had his peoples. He knew what he was doing. The drugs was being sold fast. It's good. It was really good for that part. But when Mecca died, things slowed down. So now it's up to Tariq to kind of get the ball going again. But it is, because they're taking over Wall Street. They're getting all these they're getting the plans into motion. And then you had like Tariq meeting like RSJ, I believe. And then he was talking. He was like, oh, like, this man's the world's black billionaire, or world's richest black guy, you know, and he meeting him, and he's a very powerful influence, which Tariq was getting some insight from him. And, you know, basically it was knowledge about how to move the weight, and to get more information on that through the way he was speaking to him. And he was just like, oh, you know, make sure you use them and get more information while you're there with them. So I kind of want to see more of like Tariq and him, like this talk, because that's a powerful ally that Tariq can have. He's very powerful, and he's knowledgeable about maybe certain things. So besides like having Rashad, because Rashad just was as soon as when Jenny and Blanca showed up, he's just like, well, I turned down Tariq, but hey, he's with the Westons. You got an intern over there, the man who was selling drugs on Stansfield. I'm like, this motherfucker. I mean, but that's the thing. Rashad and Sax are somewhat the same. Somewhat. Just like a tad bit. It's just that Rashad he's only loyal. His loyalties go so far, you can say. His loyalties can only go so far, but you can't trust Rashad. He's powerful and you can need him in certain situations, but he's another one where you're like, Sax is just not. You just can't with this man. You just can't, because you can't trust him. But oh man, this episode was good. I know there was that scene when they was all at the dinner table and he was talking to Effie. Because he had this plan. He like, yo, man, you get out of this mess. You meet my mom. She was the one that held everything together. He was like, Ghost was the one that messed it up. I'm like, when he said that part, and then he said he was smarter than him, faster than him, stronger. I'm like, So I'm like, I don't know. But overall, this episode was good. I can't wait for next week's episode, because that shit gonna be crazy. But comment down below what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I catch you all in the next one.